Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of High Frequency Talks with Jenna and Lily.
I'm Jenna.
And I'm Lily. Thank you so much for being here. As always, we are so grateful for each and every one of you out there. I just wanted to remind you guys to stay in the moment, like always, and hope that you guys are having a fantastic day. How are you doing, Jenna?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful sunny day in San Diego and just did some photos outside for our friend's company, and now we're back inside, back to work, but we enjoy every moment of it. How's your day going, Lily?
It's really good. We did a little bit of a meditation earlier this morning, so I feel like just like relieved, almost like weight off my shoulders. And yeah, just back to work. I know I was talking to Mike the other day, and I said, oh, like on Sunday, Jenna's coming over and we're gonna, like, we have work to do. And he goes, don't call it work. And I said, well, it's not work. We love it, but what else am I supposed to call it? Like, we're grinding, you know? And I was laughing. The usual time. I was laughing because Hannah, Jenna's sister, was here with us, and I can't remember what Hannah said, but I just hear, like, I wasn't even paying attention to what they were talking about, but Hannah said something and Jenna responds, yes, Hannah, it's grind season. And I just started laughing because I was like, that's so true. It grind season all the time.
Yeah, I think I was putting stuff into my calendar, my Google Calendar, and I only recently started planning, like I said on previous episodes. So Hannah, I think that was probably the first time that she saw me, like, actually planning ahead, and I was like, oh, Lily, I don't know, like, if I'm available that day, and then I was like, oh, you're coming to my house for to record an episode, and I looked on like 2 weeks from now, and there it is. It's like Lily comes to my house to record a podcast at 7 p.m. and I was just like, wow, I would have never remembered that if it weren't for Google Calendar.
I think she was definitely impressed about it.
Yeah, in shock.
I love it though. That just goes to show like how we're evolving every day and every moment, and just work on yourself and take care of yourself because like we always say, no one is going to do it for you. But yeah, we just recently had a full moon. As you guys know, it was last week. If you guys are keeping along with our episodes, we are in the month of August. We just had a full moon last week, and with that said, sometimes our full moons align with our moon cycles. If you don't know what a moon cycle is, it's another way of saying like our periods. And I know it can be a very taboo subject, which to me, I'm not sure why, because I think that periods just are very natural. They're a very natural thing, and we should be empowering each other as women and as people to talk about our bodies more, and just encourage each other and help each other out when it comes to things. I know sometimes when I'm not feeling down, I just talk to Jenna. I'm like, I'm on my period, this is happening, and she kind of gives me a different perspective. So today's episode is on periods. It's on birth control. So shout out to all the women out there who are just living their life trying to survive that next period. And if you are someone that doesn't have periods, whether you are a woman who has the IUD that doesn't give you periods, or if you're a man out there, hopefully this will give you a little bit of a different perspective. But we're just talking a little bit about our experiences with birth control and with periods. I know me specifically, I personally stopped using birth control in January of 2019, so just about 8-9 months ago. I distinctively remember actually talking to you about this, Jenna. We were talking about how we were trying to do research on birth control and trying to figure out the side effects of it, and like what benefits could come from not being on birth control. So I did some research. I made some conscious decisions. I obviously talked to Mike about it first. I think that that's super important too. Although it is your body and it is your decision at the end of the day, you should always include your partner in these types of things, because that communication aspect should be a part of it as well. So I talked to him and I said, so I did the research, like birth control is linked to breast cancer and all this other shit. So I'm done. This was in December of 2018. So that was the last time that I took an actual pill. And yeah, I just, before I go into all this full detail, I just want to say, like, I feel so much better without giving too much detail yet. And I was actually on birth control for, let's see, I was 17 when I started birth control, and I stopped it right before I turned 26. So about 8.5, 9 years of being on birth control.
Wow, that's a long time, Lily. Yeah, I was only on birth control for like maybe 2 years or so, and it just like didn't work for me. It gave me I had anxiety pretty badly at the time, and it just gave me more anxiety. And I was also, I think I was detoxing from taking Adderall for ADHD. And so just like all of that at once. So I don't really remember noticing too much of a difference because my hormones were already out of whack from taking a methamphetamine pill that they prescribed me. And so, yeah, like but it takes, I can imagine it takes such a long time to balance your hormones after being on something like that for so long, and it's just like man-made chemicals. Yeah, it's not a natural thing. So, how did you feel during your experience of detoxing from that?
Well, I think that I didn't feel any side effects at first just because it wasn't like when I did my research before I even got off the pill, which I mean, I'll go back and tell a little bit more detail about how I transitioned out of it, but I don't think that I felt any different because I had been on it for so long. And when I started doing my research on how to get off the pill, it's all the research said depending on your body type, all bodies are different. So depending on your body type, it depends how long the time frame of the birth control leaving your body all varies. So for some people it takes about a month to leave the system, and for other people who have been on birth control for longer, it takes them longer for it to leave their system. So it just depends. I think it just depends on how I felt like on a daily basis. So regularly I wasn't feeling too much difference, but I know that in the long run I started to see different aspects changing. So for example, with my periods in general, now that I've been off birth control since the beginning of this year, I know that my my periods are a lot shorter. So they were a lot heavier before, and they were about like 5 to 6 days, and the first 3 days were super super heavy. And I'm not gonna give you guys all the detail on that, but they were just really heavy. And so now, instead of my periods being about 5 to 6 days, they're about 3 to 4 days long, and it's only really heavy on the first 2 days. So that's something in the long run that I've seen with my detoxing from birth control. But even my skin, that's something that has been a journey as well with the birth control, because I had really bad, it wasn't acne necessarily, it was just like these red bumps. And I don't know if you remember, my cheeks used to be rosy.
Yeah, I remember you had some skin issues before you got off birth control, and that was probably just your hormones acting up, you think?
Yeah, because I had like these patches of like rosy like patches on my cheeks, and they were like bumps, but they weren't pimples. It wasn't acne that you could pop. It wasn't like, oh, I got a zit and I can pop it. It was almost like it was like liquid filled. Like it was really bad. And that was covering like my whole face. And so of course I went to the dermatologist thinking that was going to be something that was going to help me out. And they were the ones that said that prescribed me a pill, of course, because that's what doctors do. They just prescribe you pills. And so they prescribed me a pill. They said, take this. You're going to take this on a regular basis. You may get nauseous. That's just a side effect. They gave me a whole list of the side effects. And they said that would help with the issues. And it wasn't rosacea. It wasn't anything that they could pinpoint. And so he basically prescribed this pill to me. I took one pill one day. Like the very next day. I didn't take any that day. I took it the next day, and I immediately felt nauseous. I wanted to throw up. I I couldn't even make it through like my day at work. Like I almost had to leave to go home, but I decided to just power through it. So in that moment, I decided that I didn't want to take these pills anymore. So when I went and saw the dermatologist again, he got kind of upset at me for not taking these pills. So he said, all right, let's try a different method if you're not going to take the stuff that I'm prescribing you. So he said, let's look at your hormone balance and your hormones in your birth control. So at the time I was on the patch. So that was the birth control method that I had used that had worked for me the best for my body. Because I was never the type of person that could take a pill every single day. Like it was just an inconvenience, which is crazy that you have to take it at a certain time, same day, every day. You get into this routine of it. But for some reason, I just wasn't into that. So I had the patch. He switched me over to the birth control pill, which had a lower dose of hormones. And that kind of helped a little bit, but essentially it was the whole hormones issue that was throwing off my imbalance. And so that was, not allowing my body to produce the hormones naturally. And it was pushing different chemicals into my body. So after I got on the pill, that's when I started doing research. I think I was on the pill for October, November, December. Yeah, so like about 3-4 months, and then that's when I think you and I had our conversation about birth control, and I started doing more research, and that's when I decided, okay, I think it's probably time that I get off of this pill to see what happens. And I mean, you're someone that has seen my journey with my skin, and I'm sure that you can attest that it's such a difference. Like, not only do I feel better, like my periods are shorter, my skin is better, and I can tell, like, even like when I'm on my period, I'm not moody anymore. I used to be like really sassy, like really, like I would get angry easily. And like I would just pick fights. I would just be moody. Like I feel like I'm just like a different person now.
Yeah, I remember one day, I think I texted you and I was like, Lily, I just wanted to let you know that birth control is bad for you. Did you know that? And you're like, okay, I'm gonna start researching it. And this was like, probably, well, if this was just last year, it was like I was well into like no pills. Mm-hmm. Pills are bad, which that's just, my opinion on everything because of my experience with them. But what about with cramps? Do you feel like, I know a lot of people experience like really bad pain during their period. I have never had like bad chronic pain. It's been only recently, like if I'm going through something emotional, I'll have pretty bad period cramps, but other than that, I don't really notice or get like I never got PMS or any of that stuff, which I know is not like necessarily normal. It happens. Mm-hmm. It's your hormones are out of whack when that happens. But did you were saying you experienced PMS? Did you experience period cramps when you were on birth control, or was it hard when you got off of the birth control?
Well, when I was like, I got my period really, really young. I think I was like in 4th grade. So wow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with my body, but it just developed really early. I know. I was really young. Like it was crazy. It was Christmas Day too. And I remember my mom started crying when I told her because she was at the store, and which this is just such a side note from what you just asked me. So I'll come back to that. But I remember she went to the store. She was buying stuff. I think it was Christmas Eve or something like that. And my sister is older. So I remember I went to the bathroom, and then when I wiped, obviously you figure out, oh shit, like this isn't normal. This isn't something I've experienced before. So my sister like helped me out. And then when my mom got home, we had to tell her, and she started crying because she was upset at the fact that like I was growing up. Not only was like her baby was growing up, but also I was in 4th grade, like about to go into 5th grade. Like that's super scary. And you just feel so alone because you can't relate to anybody your age because you're going through like this crazy shit that you're not supposed to go through until you're like 13 or I don't even know what age is like the typical age, but I don't know. It was just wild because it was just something that was a brand new experience. Jenna's face is
Oh my
so
gosh.
shocked, but
I think I was 13.
oh wait, sorry, say that again.
I was 13. I think I was in 7th grade when I got mine.
Yeah, see, like
I
that's
don't know if it's normal though.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, and like everybody is different, so I'm sure there's probably people out there that are like, yeah, me too. I got mine in 4th grade too, or I'm sure there are people. I'm hoping at least, but whatever. I'm fine now, you guys. But I like because I've had my period for so long. I don't ever remember a time where I used to get period cramps until I started birth control. Was when I never necessarily got cramps in the way that everyone else gets cramps, where they're saying that it's like in their stomach and their area and like below their belly button. But mine was more when I was about to have a bowel movement that I got cramps in my lower back, and it got to the point where sometimes I would have to like crouch down and hunch over and like hold myself, like hold like my lower back, because it was like shooting pains. Like it felt like someone was like stabbing me, like, and this was happening. This wasn't just like, oh, when I'm at home this happens. Like this was happening when I was in college. This was happening when I was working full time. Like it was just crazy. And so I haven't experienced that. Like it'll happen once in a while, but it's like super light. It's not like crazy to the point where I'm like crouching down and like dying. But I will say I had to take which I haven't even shared this with you, Jenna, but I had to take a Plan B pill like about 2 months ago. I know Jenna's face is all shocked. That's just the reality of it, okay, you guys? Because although you can protect yourself with condoms and take as many preventative issues, my choice is just not to use birth control, and I'm not trying to sell this to you guys. Everyone makes their own decisions, but sometimes accidents happen, and it's just something that my partner and I have agreed that we're not ready to have kids. So I said, well, it takes two to tango, so you're gonna have to go to the store and you're gonna have to go get me a Plan B pill. Like that's the reality of it. So I took a Plan B pill, and I swear it was like my body turned into a different body all of a sudden. Like within the next few days, Jenna's like, it fucked you up. Yes.
I know, yeah.
Yes. So
It messes you up.
it does mess you up. And so I like went this whole time, like this whole year, with my body not having any changes, and then all of a sudden it was back to that cramping. When I had bowel movements, I started getting sassy. Like my period was delayed. Like I was late by probably like a week or two, and I started getting scared because my body, although I don't know for sure if the birth control is still in my system because I was on it for so long and it's only been like 8 months, but I started to kind of see the changes again. Like my period this last time around, it was way longer. It was about 6 days long again. And like I got super moody. I got crampy when I got like had bowel movements. Not every single time, but like I would get cramps. So even that just one time, I feel like it triggered all of the symptoms all over again.
Yeah, Plan B is a lot of chemicals.
I know.
But I know I would choose that over birth control, and I did choose that over birth control because I'd rather not take something every single day that's gonna affect like my hormones and everything. And yeah, I just hate putting like things into my body that aren't natural, and I definitely used to be very far from this way, but now like I'll do everything I can, like even if I have like extreme period pain, like to the point where there was a couple of months ago I had a really bad period where I couldn't even get out of bed. I was in so much pain, and I don't know if I've ever had a period that painful before, but it was like during a hard time where I was like trying to find a place to live, a lot of death around me and just like emotional stuff, and so I'm assuming that's why the period was so bad. But I had to go to work, and I was just like, okay, I can't do it though. I can't take a pill. I can't bring myself to take a pill. I don't know, it has to be like really really bad. I would say I have a pretty high pain tolerance. Like, I'll just put up with it and use like peppermint oil and stuff like that, and clary sage, and there's a lot of herbs you can use to make it better. CBD oil is super helpful for me. But sometimes even all of that together doesn't completely subside the pain. So, I mean, I get it. Some people, they have to take Advil, Tylenol, whatever. What's that one? Midol. I used to take that every single time I had a period, and pretty sure it has like caffeine in it or something crazy.
What?
Yeah, it's like not good, but I used to take it every period.
I feel like these pills are just numbing us.
They are. Yeah, but I think choosing to take something like every once in a while is fine, or do whatever you need, but I do think like if you take that type of a thing regularly, then your body gets like addicted to that, and then it's dependent on needing that pill every time you're in that pain, you know?
Yeah, and I think I see it as the almost the same thing as like people that take, or not, sorry, not people, because I'm not trying to target anyone. Like, I'm not trying to say that what you're doing is right or wrong. This is just my opinion. I think when it comes to taking melatonin, you're giving your body something that it's supposed to produce naturally. So eventually it gets used to you taking that melatonin pill, and then your body no longer produces melatonin. Same thing with like birth control. It's no longer like creating those hormones and that estrogen naturally, but it's falling it's falling on this pill, like it's giving that responsibility, so your body kind of shuts down. And this is, I only know so much. I only did so much research. I'm sure there's probably someone out there that knows more than I do, and knows that maybe birth control does work for certain people and it does have its benefits. But I just remember specifically reading that birth control just led to breast cancer, and there was a study that was done, and it led to these women who were in the study, basically, that a lot of them had a connection to breast cancer because of the birth control. And it also led to what's it called? It led to heart disease and strokes and gallstones, and just because of the estrogen dominance, it like was leading to all of these different diseases, and even was leading to like removal of gallbladder because of like stones that were being developed. So just reading all of that, that was enough to scare me into not wanting to do it, because I just wanted to choose a path that was more natural. And also I have an agreement, like I have this understanding, with my partner again, like if God and the universe wants to give us a child, then although it might not have been in our plan, then that's the plan that was set out for us. But obviously right now it's just not our time. Like, we're not planning, we don't want to, and like that's not in our path at this moment. But if it does happen, then we have to shift our ways of living, and we'll figure it out, and that's something that I can't stress enough when it comes to any form of birth control, of preventative uses that you guys have. Make sure that you are communicating with your partner that you are having sex with. And if you don't have someone that you're dating, but if you don't have like a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or a husband, a wife, whatever it may be, and you're sleeping with multiple people, you have to make sure that you're having those conversations with these people that you're sleeping with. Because if you're willing to go to a vulnerable place and like get undressed and have like these chemicals join together when you're having sex, then you should be okay with having that uncomfortable conversation of, are you clean? Are you using a condom? Like, are you on birth control? Like, being okay and open to having that conversation with whoever you are sleeping with.
Yeah, I think that's super important, because like if you get like an STD or something, then that's like you're gonna have that, like, you take the risk of having that for life, and then transferring that to anyone else that you're with. And so yeah, I don't think that that's worth it. But yeah, it's it's definitely can be a touchy topic because we're so used to in this world taking chemicals for everything, a pill for everything, and I think that you can definitely get around that if you just plan ahead, and they even have that thing, I think it's called a daisy tracker, and I think you just take your temperature with it like every day, and it tells you whether you're fertile or not or something like that. Didn't you look into that?
I don't think that was me.
I'm pretty sure I
think
sent it to you.
I think I think we talked about it because I think we were looking for options on how to
I think it's
like track it, but it was really expensive.
I think it's like $400. So.
Oh my god, yeah. And I think also when it came to stuff like that, like apps and all that stuff, I was like, well, you can only trust those things for so long, you know? You can't put your full faith into an app versus like your body. I don't know. It was just I also didn't want to spend the $400 on something like that.
No, I think it has like, I'll have to look again because I haven't looked at it in a while, but I think it has like a 99% protective, yeah, which is like the same thing as birth control and condoms and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, but I mean, it is an investment, so just depends.
Just depends on what you want to use, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said though, we're not trying to convince you guys to not take birth control. It's just what has worked best. It's just what has worked best for us. And I just know when I was looking, I have something in front of me that I can read to you guys. It's about a study, and it basically says it was estimated that for every 100,000 women, hormone contraceptive use causes an additional 13 breast cancer cases a year. That is for every 100,000 women using hormonal birth control. These are 68 cases of breast cancer annually compared to 55 cases a year among non-users. So although that number only jumps from 55 to 68, it's statistically so significant, and it's such a risk that me personally, I'm not willing to take. Just to cite the source, this is from drjess.com. Dr. Jess MD on Instagram provides so much free content about just your health and your well-being, and she's a doctor herself in San Diego, and so I know Jen and I follow her religiously, and we just find all of her free content so intriguing. So that's where I got my information from. I did a lot more research, which I don't have it in front of me at the moment. I just pulled this up really quickly while Jenna was talking. So if you guys have any research that proves otherwise or that proves the same, feel free to send it to us. We have our email in every show notes. But this is just as like as a reminder, you know, to be conscious and be aware of the things that you're putting into your body. And like we said, this is just our story. We're never trying to convince anyone to live their life a certain way. So if birth control is something that's working for you, then that's great. But just understand that there's going to be side effects to everything. And I think something, I don't know if you get this a lot, Jenna, but something that people tell me, like if they're asking me my opinion, and I'm kind of giving them information on how something may not be the best for your health, their automatic pushback is, well, everything's bad for you. You might as well just do it. And so Jenna's laughing. So usually I get it. There's a duality to everything. There's positives and negatives to everything depending on your perspective. And for me, the negatives of birth control overpower the positives, and that's just the agreement that I have with my person. And I just hope that we can kind of give you guys a different perspective and also just some more information on that. We're not doctors. We're not people that have all of the information. There's going to be all of this information out in the world. But if you guys are ever open to having a conversation about this, we are more than happy to have this conversation. You guys know where to reach us at. And yeah, I think that was pretty much all I was going to say about this, but I just want to make sure that we get that point across, that we're absolutely not professionals on this, but you know, this podcast is on all around health and health does include periods and being a woman and having those cramps and having the side effects. And don't get me wrong, I still crave chocolate every time that I'm about to get on my period. There's still those things, and we'll see. Who knows? Maybe the birth control is still in my body and I don't even know it. So we'll keep you guys posted.
Yes, and always remember that nature is chemical free, and just use your herbs and it'll totally work. Works great for me. And yeah, I mean, I think, like, especially if you were taking birth control for that long, could still be in your system. So yeah, we just have to be super patient with our bodies and do what's best for us. And every single body is different, and some people do better with, birth control. Some people do better without it, but just do your research and know the side effects and everything. I think that's super important, so that we're just like educated and have the knowledge about everything behind it and the risks and all of that. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. We really appreciate it, and we hope that everyone has an amazing day or night, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Love and light to all of you. Thank you for listening.